The FA Cup excitement is almost over, and we look ahead to another fantastic weekend of Premier League football. The highlight fixture this week, Ben, this is going to have you quaking in your boots, is the North London derby, Arsenal hosting Tottenham. You must be quite scared, Ben, here.
No, I'm all good.
You're all good? Well,
well, I say all good. It's Monday now, we're recording, and the game's not for another, 2.5 days. So there's plenty of time for me to start worrying and, as you say, quaking in my boots, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I say worry. Spurs kept a clean sheet at the weekend against an incredible opponent in non-league. Is that the right word? National League, Tamworth. But we'll talk about that later anyway. And let's jump straight in to talking about issues that Arsenal might have that might fill you with a bit of confidence. And we're going to start with looking at their right side. Obviously, Bukayo Saka's out for a little while now with his hamstring injury, and there'll be no Ben White. Does that boost Spurs players' confidence, and what does that really mean for Arsenal? Because I mean, Saka especially is a huge miss for them.
Yeah, Saka is a huge miss. I also think that the absence of White is really big as well. I mean, he's had his injury issues this season. He hasn't looked as effective prior to his spell on the sidelines, but even so, that right side is really important for Arsenal. 44% of their attacks actually come down that right flank. So to be missing both of your starting players, I say starting players, Ødegaard's still there, but to be without White and Saka is huge. I mean, more's been made of the absence of Saka, but they come as a duo. They're a really good pair. They work really well in tandem. Ben White provides that handy overlap when Saka does cut inside from the right onto his left, and that Arsenal just do not look as effective in the final third with both of those out. And they obviously have Jesus missing now. Nwaneri is also absent, so they do have issues down that right side. I mean, this is why they signed Sterling, but they're really lacking in the final third without White and Saka there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm personally quite annoyed that Ben White is not available because he is an absolute banker for a yellow card, particularly in this fixture. We'll obviously come on to our bet builders and bets later on, but he would certainly have been in my bet builder had he been fit. Tottenham, though, they've been without a few players recently. I'd almost argue not enough has been made of the injury issues that Tottenham have because they've been absolutely obliterated, which I know I don't need to tell you. But one player who's had to stand in out of position a lot of the time is Archie Gray, and I think he's done pretty well. Have you got any comments on his impact to the Spurs side?
I think the fact that he's only 18 is incredible. He slotted into centre-back seamlessly. He was one that, Brentford looked to be close to signing over the summer, and a lot of fans were thinking, well, why aren't we, making a move for this? He's just an excellent all-round midfielder who will only improve in time. So for Tottenham to get that deal over the line was, really, really impressive. And he's looked really good. He's looked like a seasoned pro back there. And it's not just that he's playing out of position. He's playing with Tottenham's third choice centre-back in Radu Dragusin. And he just looks so composed, despite not even playing in a position that, he's best in, which is central midfield. And his performance as centre-back, you kind of give the indication, do Tottenham need to sign a central midfielder this month? As Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero and Ben Davies all back this month, and I'm thinking kind of Levy economics. But once both of those are back, you get the idea that Gray could easily just play at that number 6 role that Tottenham have been lacking. And I think any Tottenham fan will tell you that he's just been an absolute revelation of a signing.
Yeah, he has. Well, I mean, as a neutral, he's been great, and he hasn't looked out of place, playing out of position, which I think, one, it's great to have players like that when times do get tough with injuries and things, that you can sort of rely on these players to fill the spots. But the fact, as you say, he's only 18 is mental to have all of that pressure on his shoulders. And all jokes aside, and we're going to come on to the goalkeeper issues now as well, but Spurs have kept a clean sheet in their last 2 games, albeit, one was against Tamworth, but you forget the one before that is against the best team in probably the world at the moment, Liverpool. So there are positives to take from those 2 clean sheets. But yeah, as I said, Kinsky, new boy in between the sticks for Spurs, chucked straight into the deep end against Liverpool. But yeah, seemed to fare okay. You must be quite pleased with him.
Very much so. when the rumours started coming around that Tottenham were going to get a goalkeeper and Sam Johnson was identified, you had Tottenham fans who were groaning and thinking, "Oh, not another, cheap way out." And then on a little over a week ago, when the Kinsky rumours suddenly started coming out of nowhere, you think, "Well, who is this? 21-year-old? He plays for Slavia Prague, which admittedly isn't the strongest league, with all due respect to them." But he had former coaches saying he's probably comparable to the next better Czech, which you think, well, brilliant. I mean, you got the Chelsea and the Arsenal links, but he was a world-class goalkeeper as well. And he's come in and looked absolutely brilliant between the sticks. It's not just the saves he's making; it's the distribution, the calmness he exudes, the confidence he gives the back line that he can play out from the sticks, get play out from the back, and be an option there as essentially as an 11th outfielder. In what weighs against him and Vicario is that he just has this desire to come and claim high balls into the box and claim crosses, which has been an area of Vicario's a weakness of Vicario's that's been exploited over the recent months. I was also say Vicario deserves to just be completely ousted now because he's been brilliant since signing as well. But he's going to find it really tough to claim that starting spot back when he returns because Kinsky's made two, very good appearances to kick off his life at Tottenham.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting when Vicario comes back because I would assume he's almost straight back in. But if Kinsky keeps up these
it's
performances,
questionable.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, Andrew's going to have a big debate on his hands. I mean, it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong, but we saw
He's
what happened.
Upgrade on Fraser Forster, isn't
he? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we saw what happened with Ramsdale and Raya when Arsenal had a similar problem, and that ultimately leads one to leave. So yeah, it could be an interesting saga that you've got on your hands there. But as I say, not really a bad problem, particularly at this point with Vicario out. Right, that will do then, I think, for game preview. Let's get to the important part and let's have your prediction for the North London derby, Ben.
So usually, back Arsenal to win this one. They do have a really good home record against Tottenham, but I think without White and Saka down that right side is going to really hurt them. I think there'll be a repeat of last season's 2-2 draw.
Nice. Well, I'm thinking similarly in the sense that I think there's going to be goals, although I'm giving away a little bit of my bet builder. I do think Arsenal win. I know Tottenham have been a bit better of late, but I think Arsenal's quality, even without White and Saka, will probably shine through and they might get the job done. I'm going for a 3-1. Kinsky's going to concede a few goals, I think. But I do think Tottenham get on the score sheet, as clearly you do. But I think Arsenal edge it. One note, whilst we're on this, actually, of the draw, going back to your prediction, sorry. The draw's 9-2 best price. So if you're following Ben in on that, that is quite a chunky price. So yeah, check that out. Make sure you compare the prices. Use Oddschecker, use WhoScored, and get the best prices. Which brings us nicely on to our North London derby bet builders. As ever, Ben's gone for a slightly chunkier bet. I've gone for a bit of a shorty. But we're going to show you exactly why you need to be using WhoScored.com's bet builder comparison tool. It's quick and easy to use, and you can compare all of the best prices across the best bookmakers in the UK. And quite often, in almost every situation, it will throw up a huge price discrepancy, which I imagine, Ben, you're going to tell me a real life example of. Take it away, mate.
Yeah, so I've gone for Dominic Solanke to score any time in this one. He's got a really good record against the Big Six this season. He scored against Villa, he scored against Newcastle, scored against Manchester United. And I think he's going to get on the score sheet this week. I've gone for over 2.5 goals. That's happened in the last 5 meetings between Arsenal and Tottenham at the Emirates. And I've gone for Yves Bissouma to be carded. He has been booked in 3 of his 4 away league starts this season. That at the moment is 13-1 with a worst price of 11-1. So it's not a huge discrepancy, but you put tenner on that, it comes in. That's £20 extra in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the sake of literally giving up 15 seconds of your life to get that extra value seems very worthwhile for me. And what's more is obviously once you've made that bet on WhoScored.com, it's only 1 click away till you've placed the bet. You can click straight out to your bookie of choice or to the bookie with the best price and get it. So yeah, I can't emphasize anymore how important it is to use that and to compare these prices. Before I go on to mine, Ben, got a bit of trivia for you. Not sure if you'll know the answer. You might. Which Arsenal player has scored the most Premier League goals against Tottenham in history? A little clue, it has no bearing on my bet builder because they definitely don't play for Arsenal anymore.
I want to say Emmanuel Adebayor.
Oh, he's second. He's second.
Oh.
First place, well, Adebayor scored 6 times. Perez has scored 7. The reason I was looking at that is because I was hoping to get a nice stat for an anytime goal scorer bet here, but I couldn't find it. Saka was the current player who had the most goals against Spurs, and then Odegaard with 2. So I left that out.
Doesn't Son have a fairly okayish record against Arsenal? Or am I completely making that up?
Yeah, I think he does. I don't actually have the stats. Obviously, Kane had a very good record against Arsenal, but fortunately for you guys, he no longer plays for you. My bet builder, anyway, as I say, is a lot shorter than yours. Comes in at 11-2, best price, and I'm going for an Arsenal win. As I said, with my prediction of 3-1, they're undefeated in their last 10. I think they're a better side than Tottenham, if I'm perfectly honest. And being the home team, I think that's a solid foundation for this bet builder. I'm joining you with the over 2.5 for the exact same reason that you've outlined, that this has landed in the last 5 home games against Tottenham. And my final leg is Kai Havertz to be carded, which may sound a little bit out there, but he leads the way for fouls per game of any of the players for either Tottenham or Arsenal in the Premier League this season with 1.8. It's obviously a derby game, so it should be quite heated. If Arsenal don't get their own way, I can imagine him being quite scrappy, trying to press potentially an inexperienced Tottenham back line. So Kai Havertz to be carded is my final leg. As I said, 11-2 best price that is. There's not a huge price discrepancy, but it is 5-1 elsewhere. Obviously, as Ben said earlier in the show, we're recording this on Monday. I imagine more prices and more operators will be live. So there probably is likely to be a bigger price discrepancy on that close to the game. But find out. Make sure you check WhoScored.com on all of our matches, all of our match previews. Check out the Bet Builder comparison tool because you seriously won't regret it. Right, Ben, I hope it's okay for you against Arsenal and it's not a bloodbath. But thanks very much for joining me. As ever, thanks very much to everyone who's listening. Please do make sure that you gamble responsibly if you are following us in or placing any bets on any football across the next week or so. And until next time, we'll catch you later. Cheers.